Hello and welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball Podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello, hello. And we have got a guest sandwiched between us today.
We have got a fantastic guest, Mark. As always, we have former NCAA Division II for Alaska on the show. He is also representing some of the UK Armed Forces, in particular the RAF. He's been everywhere. He's been in the States, he's been in the UK, he's been in Germany, he's been in Cyprus. So without any further ado, Mark. Yeah, now stand and cheer. At center, number 24, Stewart Kearney.
Welcome, Big Stu.
Thank you. Good intro.
That was a great intro.
Oh, well done,
Strong.
you.
Wow.
Big up yourself.
Did it. First time. Done. Stu, welcome.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure having you on the show. And
You are our first video three-way. It's a very exciting moment for us.
Don't know whether it's been grateful or
why did you
scared
say it
on that.
like that?
Why? It is. It's the
Everything
first time.
you say sounds dodgy.
Why? We're on video. It's
All
the
right.
first time we've done it. Get your mind out of the gutter.
But yeah, look, Mark, we have got a great guest on the show, and listening to some of Stu's stories about how he ended up in Alaska and some of the stuff with the armed forces and stuff like that is absolutely great listening. Yeah, that's why he's on the show.
I mean, that's poignant, seeing as it's winter time here. We're talking about going to Alaska. Obviously, a very similar temperature, I'm sure.
definitely not.
No,
No.
the English winter time didn't prepare you for Alaska.
No, absolutely in no way. The English winter time's more like the Alaskan summertime. So, yeah, I think 0 degrees was warm out there. So,
We went to Canada when we were 20, and had to run. The hotel had a gas station, sort of almost joined to it.
yeah.
We just walked to it with t-shirts on, didn't we?
We were like, oh yeah, we'll go over to that. Because we wanted to get Mars bars, and they're like, what's wrong with you? It's like it's 10 at night. We're like, haven't eaten. We want to get some Mars. So we ran across the car park. Yeah, we're going to go to that. And in there, it's like, yeah, that was actually pretty damn cold. Like,
Yeah.
You look at it and think, it's just breezy. But then you get back and you're like, yeah,
Like, that was silly. You
I-
have little heaters for the car, so when you park
Yeah.
your car, you plug your engine in so
Yeah.
it doesn't
and the old
freeze
car
over.
bra on the front, don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
We you'd get like a 6-pack and just open up like the balcony, just
Yeah,
leave it
yeah.
in the
just
snow.
put it on
and-
the fridge.
Yeah, just stick all your beer out the back.
yeah, that's great, wasn't it? And
Way to do it.
Yeah.
we actually went during
January the 1st, 2000
2000,
on the
so
Millennium.
where everyone thought the world was going to end, Y2K, and
We booked a flight.
There you go.
during it, here we go. What's going to happen? Nothing. But we're in this hotel
Two chances.
on our own.
Yeah.
The whole hotel to
No,
ourselves.
those except that weird couple that you remember. And on the transfer on the way out there, it was like they're weird because like their age gap was significant, and it was like, this is just weird.
I
And
heard
we
they
were
said
just
you
laughing.
were the weird couple.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
they
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we were.
But
We landed and asked for Mars bars and a bowl of tuna. So yeah,
Brilliant.
we
and they
had
brought out like fine dining food. We're like, oh, you haven't met us yet. Sorry.
but like all the kitchen staff, they were like, what do you want? Just burger and chips.
Yeah.
Burger and chips, thanks. And then they were like, is there anything else? No. So they'd give you food and like, shoot off, done.
Oh,
Yeah,
They loved us.
Yeah, easy.
And we'll go meet you in the bar in 20 minutes.
There you go.
Right, Mark, in all seriousness, Stu has got some great stories. And I'm going to start one of them off by asking a really simple question. So, Stu, how did you get into basketball?
So I actually didn't start playing basketball till I got to high school. So what's that, about 12 years old? I was living out in a place called Thetford, which is in Norfolk, so East Anglia way. My dad was RAF, so moved around a lot, but we ended up kind of settling in Thetford. And it was my high school PE teacher, Mick Piggott, who got me into basketball, really. I was one of those kids who kind of did every sport, did football, basketball, cricket, swimming. anything I could get out of doing school for, I was like, brilliant, let's play some sport. But I suppose it wasn't until I played all through high school, and then at about 16, 17, when I went off to do A-levels, a good friend of mine played basketball as well. He had an awesome basketball ring on his driveway. He had a swimming pool and a hot tub. Wasn't the reason we became good friends. But
That's a good friend to have, isn't it?
It did help.
Basketball, ring, jacuzzi. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, pretty much from there, started playing more, and then kind of gave up the other sports, focused on basketball. I kind of shot up. I think when I was 16, I was 6'6", so just grew, and then realised my love was actually basketball. It was a time of like And One, all that was coming out as well, so it was a good time to be alive and enjoy basketball. From there, just friendships grew, played for the local team, met more friends, and then just carried on playing. There was a good round East Anglia, like Norwich Way, Great Yarmouth. There was a lot of good basketball players, and so we just used to travel around just playing. All the same players used to kind of go to like University of East Anglia for scrimmage games, all that kind of stuff. So that's how I kind of got into it, really.
Nice.
And this leads on to the moment where you had a great meeting, which led on to going to Alaska.
Yeah, so I played a bit when I was at university. I went to university in Chelmsford, but I was playing for Colchester at the time. While I was in Thetford as well, I had they've got Lakenheath Air Base. It's just down the road. So we met a guy who ended up being really good friends. He came to play basketball with us actually at the pub, and one of the girls who was there, he was talking to her, and she just said, "Oh, they're all playing basketball at the minute." So he turns up in like chinos and a jacket, comes and plays. He'd been drinking as well, but this guy could just jump out the gym. It was ridiculous. But anyway, we got really good friends with him. He didn't have a swimming pool and a hot tub, but he had a big house.
Beast. Big house. Okay.
Big house from the American Air Base. Lots of steaks, burgers. And do you remember when GoldenEye came out on like the Nintendo and stuff?
64.
We just used to play basketball, eat steaks, drink beer and Boone's Farm wine,
Proximity
out of the brown bag, and then play that. That was our life, really. But anyway, his family lived in Alaska. He knew I was looking to kind of go out to play college basketball, and then he just kind of said, "Well, why don't you just come out in the summer to Alaska with me? We'll spend the summer there, and then you can meet the coaches." So went out with him, went and met the coaches.
This is a real sliding door moment.
It was odd because I didn't know what to expect. I'm just like, I just want to go and play basketball. Kind of walked into the coach's office, ducked through the doorway, and they were like, "When can you come out and play for us?" I was like, "Oh, okay." It's not always that easy. And it's again, I had to kind of pay my own way to start with. I was a walk-on, so didn't get the scholarship or the money that everyone just wants that free ride, send me to college. But anyway, an opportunity I couldn't turn down. So grateful for my parents as well for kind of helping me do that. But again, so I went out there for 2 years I spent, and then didn't get a full scholarship. But Mum couldn't afford to carry on paying continuously for the next couple of years. So I actually had to leave after 2 years, which was a great shame. But then that led to the next chapter of my life from there. But two of the best younger years of my life. Again, I was looking for somewhere to move as far away from England as I could. You can't really get much further than Alaska, but
look, it's bloody cold in the UK, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Yeah, I've got away from England," and then you're like, "Man, it just got colder."
So weirdly, in the summer, it was probably warmer because the sun never fully goes down. So the first time I flew out there, it was like midnight. I'd been awake for like 20 hours, I think, and I'm flying. I'm thinking, "Oh, the sun's still up," and then you start thinking stupid things. I'm like, "Is it because I'm so high in the air?" And I'm like, "That's ridiculous." But then clocked on, we're nearer the Arctic Circle, and it's like 11 o'clock, and it was still light.
Oh, so what time does it go dark then?
So you get, I can't remember what month, but in the winter, the sun used to come up at like 10 o'clock, go down at 3 o'clock. So I was already in the building or in in school by that time, so I'd never see the sun.
Oh, so it's always dark.
So it's just always dark. I'd get to school, it was dark. I'd leave school when it was dark. And you're like, look out the window now and again, and like, oh, there's the sun.
That's why they did the 30
like
days,
episode,
30
like
days
a
a night
Twilight
film.
or something like that.
That film, wasn't it? Josh Hartnett, 30 Days a Night, is based on it's the most northern
Barrow.
point. It's Barrow,
So Barrow.
isn't it?
So we were. So if you think of Alaska, Barrow's right at the top. We were Anchorage is kind of right at the bottom.
Yep.
So I think it's on the same kind of line as Helsinki.
Yes.
Kind
around
of
that
that. So
because everyone from there was going down to there in the film. That was the whole point, because they're like, it's 30 Days a Night coming up, where it's just,
they all just leave.
yeah, it's just nothing up there.
Just a surreal place. One of the most beautiful places in the whole world, though. I mean, you're in the middle of the city, and then a 30-minute drive, you're in the middle of the wilderness where
Just
you've got...
we're not meant to live there, are we, really? We're just not. We're not
We ruin
like,
it.
We're not built for living there.
You got like the Northern Lights up there and all
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So when everyone was like, oh, look, the Northern Lights, I was thinking, yeah, I've seen that.
You're like, I see that all the time.
But yeah, it is a beautiful place. I'd happily, it's one of the places I've always said, if I could live there, definitely would live
really?
there. Yeah. It's weird. But even pay people
in the
to
quiet
live there.
bit.
Well, no, not in the quiet bit. I need people. But
Yeah.
Anchorage is like a huge, it's a huge city, but in space, and everything's just massive.
Because that sounds amazing to me. Quiet. If you said, Paul, your nearest neighbour is a mile away, I'd be like, perfection.
Oh, well, you could do that easily. 30 minutes out the city, you're in the middle of...
If there's a sea in the way as well, that'd be even better.
We got yeah. I mean, there's one drive. We used to drive out places. It's Cook Inlet, it was called. But you just drive places, and you'd see out to sea, and you just see whales jumping around.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you say about neighbours. Your nearest neighbour's probably a moose or a bear. So, yeah. Yeah.
2 words to spoil that: polar bears. I'm not kidding me. Like place like Churchill, they have the bears just wandering around, and some places leave the car unlocked.
Yeah.
If I'm right, so that if there is a bear in the street, people can just jump in the car.
Oh,
To
really?
escape from the bear. Yeah.
Is that a real
That's
thing?
further up north,
Yes.
so like Barrow and places like that. You get polar bears just wandering the streets.
So like some places will have like a truck and a thing, like they do it. And I thought it was a thing, but it's apparently a real thing. I know someone who
So
went
you
to
might
Churchill
be playing a
and they're like,
basketball game, and a bear walks in. So it's like, bear!
So-
and everyone's like,
oh, please
we
tell
were-
me there's a story
No,
about
so,
a bear.
not quite a lot.
That's a great mascot. Oh, hang on, no, the
That's
mascot's
not a
eating.
mascot.
Someone's
It's the
eating
real
someone.
one.
So we're driving down the highway, and you see like a little bear. So when the winter comes in, the bears come into the city more. I'd never seen one yet, and we were just driving somewhere, and then this little bear just goes running across the road. So like slam the brakes on. I said to my mate, I was like, "Oh, bear!" I was like, "Just wait. So where there's a small bear, there's usually a bigger bear, and then the massive mama bear comes wandering across as well. These things are huge."
Yeah.
But we're out on it was pre-season training, and we used to go on runs kind of around. And then we see the guys at the front just kind of make this massive detour, and we're just like, well, what are they running around? Like, you just see a puddle, people make a little detour.
Yeah.
Get nearer, there's a fully grown moose kind of in the ditch, just like chewing stuff. And the guy was next to me was just like, yeah, you don't go near them because they stamp on you. So people have been killed by moose.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like looking at this thing with legs as tall as me, and then you got the body on top of it, and it's massive antlers. It's just a run like through the residential areas, and there's a moose there. I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Just for our listeners, how tall are you?
So I'm 6'9".
6'9", and this moose is bigger.
This moose is bigger than me, and it was in a ditch. I'm just like, God. That's what we used to say. If you hit a moose, it was usually catastrophic because you hit the legs and then the body folds on the car. So don't hit a moose, basically.
Well, they had a problem, didn't they? With I can't remember where it was, but I know I was in Jasper, which is north of Edmonton, and they had a small runway, and they said they get problems with them.
Yeah.
Where they walk on, and they're like, obviously a light aircraft's coming down, and there's a moose in the middle of the airfield, and it's like,
What, does it get stage fright?
no, it'll charge.
Charge
at
a
the
plane?
plane.
Yeah, and it's like
These,
the
yeah,
moose
these
will
things are big.
moose will win because of the size of the antlers and stuff, and they'll just charge the thing, and they'll hurt the people and everything inside and that, and probably walk away from it. Like the moose would.
Oh, wow.
The
They are
highway.
monsters.
A highway in Alaska is classed as a runway as well. So if you see a plane
Is it?
come in, yeah, they can land on the roads. It's a crazy place.
There's
It's
just
brilliant.
no rules at there at
No.
all.
So there's me going from little Thetford in Norfolk, and then suddenly I'm out in Alaska, surrounded by all this, and I'm just like, good God. Just wasn't prepared for it all.
Stu's coming into Alaska and this is your... Oh, the mic's gone again. This is your pilot speaking. There is a bear on the runway, so we're going to ride on the freeway. Here we go.
Get your luggage very quickly.
Yeah, clearly not massive passenger jets. Like the little small planes, they can land on the roads.
For the person who had the blue bag,
Sorry.
That's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
the moose is in it.
The moose has been eating some of your clothing.
It's stuck on its antlers.
But we do have a gift shop, so you can get a T-shirt. You'll be all right.
Moose antlers, yeah.
Man, that's cool. So
But yeah.
when just going back just a tiny bit before you sort of got there, you mentioned a growth spurt.
Yeah.
When you were playing basketball before that,
Yep.
were you learning a particular position? Because as soon as you go 6'9" and you're in the UK, you're a centre whether you like it or not.
So I think it hindered me a bit because being tall is like, right, you're in the middle, you're the centre.
Yeah.
I don't want you to shoot. I don't want you to dribble the basketball. But at the same time, I didn't need to jump either because I was taller than everyone.
Yeah.
So looking back, and I'm always like, oh, I wish I'd have done this or done that. But because I never used to have to jump, then I was never great, like athletic and could leap. I could jump quite high, but I always think if I was, I don't know the right way to describe that. If I was, or if I had someone else my height, I'd have had to jump more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was more because you're in the middle. You don't need to dribble the ball up. You don't need to do this. So they're all skills that I kind of should have learnt more, but this is where you try and get that well-rounded. Like you see the big guys in the NBA now, they can do everything. Back when I was growing up, it was no, we just need you to be in the middle and be big. So I never used to practice all of those other skills early on. So I had to really kind of develop them kind of later on, which I say was a bit more difficult, but it just meant I had to put the more hours in. So
I find it interesting because I had an early growth spurt.
Yeah.
And so I was always made a forward. He was a guard. And then as it went through, he then became the forward. And I'm like, well, I can't learn to be a guard. I don't do that. Where he could transition his role easily and he can do the two role.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just old school. I'll just box you out and that's it. That's all I can do. That's all I learn.
Yeah.
And then by the time I'm 14, everyone else has caught up and gone over and you go, well, there's my window for that gone. Yeah. And I'm short in comparison. But I find it really fascinating because on Hoop Genius, they were having a conversation on their podcast. Yeah. And BJ Armstrong was talking about the exact same thing, how people are going to him saying, how do they shoot? And his reply was, if I came to you as an agent and brought you Shaq, are you still going to be going, how do they shoot? Oh, can they shoot a three? How do they shoot? It's like, I don't know what's going wrong with the game now. Yeah. Because it's like, if I bring you someone who's physically immense, you can use them. Look at Joel Embiid. He doesn't bang up threes, does he?
And I think in
but this is coming around again.
The modern era is very much like
jack up a three.
Everyone's a three-point shooter. And that Steph Curry's great, but his impact has been bigs now shoot threes.
Well, I won't say I'm calling it out, but I actually replied on put a thing saying it's a great point that they made. Obviously, BJ Armstrong, 3-time NBA champion, knows his stuff and knows what he's talking about those things, and an agent. And someone I put on there, completely agree. It's like it's Moneyball, because they're just saying if you've got Steph's got this percentage of shooting, if he hits 10 shots, 5 in the key, 5 outside. If he's 42% from the three and he's 48% from inside, I think it is, he'd get 10 points for shooting inside and 12 points for shooting out. So why would he not keep banging more shots out? Yeah. Because he's going to get it. It's literally. So I actually put that and said it's Moneyball, and then someone replied, "But those two things don't add up." You're like that. And so I replied with that. There's the maths. Like that is what they're doing. They're literally saying, jack up as many, and it was something like someone last season threw up as many threes as Larry Bird did in his career, or something crazy like that.
Larry Bird,
and you just look at it and go,
about him as a three-point shooter, but like, he didn't shoot as mmany threes as people think.
No,
but
he's deadly because he was the big guy who had that threat, which was rare, like you're saying. But I think it's such a fascinating topic where people isolate and they go, "Oh, you're a big," but it depends on when they're a big, because like Joel Embiid.
True, it's
became a big later on in his career. And what's his game? He's not a shooter.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm going to elbow you in the face.
I was just always, I wasn't,
maybe not
as I say,
play,
I'm
but-
not massive. So I preferred to be like a forward and run the wings. I was a weird kid. I used to, my philosophy was, well, I can get somewhere quicker if I run there. So to school and stuff, I'd just run to school, I'd just run everywhere. But it actually helped in basketball.
Dream.
Run,
Because I could just
Forrest,
run and run and run. But you're right. It was what you call like, well, is it an old school big where I just used to go into the middle,
Post up.
back around, get the rebounds, pass it out.
So
to
you'd
the
be
guys who
looking
wanna
like
shoot
Timmy
threes.
Duncan. That
Yeah.
kind of sort of play.
Yeah.
Where you
Not
look
quite
at
the same
Tim and you
level,
go, oh, he's there, he's post up, he's got him, there's the two, and you go,
Yeah.
Timmy's got 20 points. Like, what? He's like, yeah, he's just doing
quietly
the
go about his
big
business.
fundamental. He's just sat
Yeah.
down there doing it, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like Stockton and Malone, wasn't it? Those two were great together, just typical bigs. But then, like you said, it went now to let's everyone shoot threes and play point guard. I'm like, no, not time for that.
So at this point, you said the word centre.
Mm-hmm.
Would you still use the word centre, or do you prefer using the numbers like 5?
I'm
I'm
really
curious.
bothered, really. I think it's always just been centre.
The only reason I say it
like
is
the 5,
because when people, I always think it's almost like a crossover. If someone is a modern, thinking in the modern terms, they're often thinking the 1 for 5.
Yeah.
When you just say they're a guard, they're a centre.
Yeah.
So I saw some things over the last few weeks where people have been arguing about various people. But what makes me laugh is you say, well, yeah, but if they're that, they're a centre. And you go, hang on, you're saying it's a modern thing and then saying it's a centre. It's like the centre doesn't exist anymore. A guard doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, no.
A power forward doesn't exist, but they should.
Yeah. I'm all with guards, forwards, centres.
So I still believe in that. I still think that's the way
Yeah,
forward.
well, I say guards forward, small guard, small forward. Sorry, small forward, but centre. Yeah.
Because you'd have your shooting guard and then your point guard. But then you go, well, who's running the point? But it's people like Luka or you know, any of those sort of players. Dirk Nowitzki, actually, for example.
22 minutes into the podcast,
Yeah,
and
I've
you've
got to make
mentioned
two
Dallas.
Mavs. But
I think that's the longest we've gone.
Dirk was a big guy who shot.
Second, in the
He was
22nd
kind of the
minute
first one
still.
to change it all, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But that's when the European, and you see that changeover. He was kind of leading that.
So you mentioned something to Paul earlier about when you went to Alaska, you're one of the only Europeans over there.
The first British basketball player at the University of Anchorage.
Yep. I think they've had more since then. I think they had a British coach. I don't remember because I lost kind of track of it for a while when I was joining the military.
The Sea Wolves.
Yep.
That's a great name. What is a sea wolf?
So it's if I remember rightly, it's a mythical beast that it's meant to be. If you see it, it brings you luck, I believe.
Oh, so it's like a normal wolf. So it's like sea.
Yeah.
S-E-E wolf.
Yeah.
Oh.
S-E-A.
Oh, look.
Like a
in the sea.
yeah,
Oh,
a
sorry.
wolf in the sea.
Oh, right.
Which clearly doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's why it's a mythical.
So it's like the marine version of Airwolf,
Polar-
but not a
They
helicopter.
should have said.
No.
They should
I
have
was
said the
thinking
polar bears.
RAF, tie it in. Seawolf, okay.
Famous link.
Why
So
do they
Seawolf,
go
yeah.
for that if they got polar bears walking around?
Because that's boring. Oh, so actually, so you got there's 2 universities in Alaska big. You've got
The
University of
killer polar
Anchorage,
bears.
and then Fairbanks. So they were the Nanuks, and their symbol was a little polar bear, a big
okay.
polar bear. But yeah, we were a sea wolf.
So
That was a state
the
rivalry.
bear,
The Sea Wolf Pack.
that was it.
Yeah.
So bears versus wolves.
Yep.
No eagles, nothing.
No, they got all the high school. Everyone. Yeah. Eagles.
So did it really come down to those two?
So they were the only, they're the big 2 universities who
great.
played in. So it was a Great Northwest Athletic Conference.
Okay.
Was the league that we played in, and we played other teams down in, like Seattle,
Portland.
Northern California, Washington. So those kind of states. So yeah, but there's the two teams in Alaska were those 2.
So what's that like? You're playing in English college,
Yeah.
where you've probably got
20
a
people and a
couple
dog.
a couple of girlfriends watching, and maybe a mum every now and then, and now you're in Alaska playing in America.
So
Bears watching you.
with bears as well.
Bears
so,
outside.
So my first ever game for the university was against Oklahoma State.
Oh wow.
So they had a tournament called the Great Alaska Shootout, and you had Hawaii and Alaska were classed as like 2, not the main states.
Yep.
So you had each team, I believe, you had a certain amount of preseason games you could play, but if you played them in Alaska or Hawaii, they didn't count towards that number. So teams would go, great, we can get more games in, but they don't chip away at our allocation of preseason games. So, the first, it was on ESPN as well. So one of the things that they did was...
Mark, this is Stu's first game.
First ever game out.
First
Bear in mind,
game.
there was 20 people and a dog, and like you said, probably a couple of girlfriends watching, and some guy who got lost.
Live on TV.
And the badminton guy's waiting to get on the court after us.
No.
But then, so I went out.
No.
It's in a big stadium. I think it was, I can't remember, it's about 5,000. It seemed about 20,000 to me. And yeah, we're playing Oklahoma State, who were ranked 12th in the nation that year. And there's little me from Thetford. I think I only played, it was less than 2 minutes. I came on at the end to replace our kind of star player. But I could just remember seeing it on the TV, and it's like, just see me, I look white as a ghost. Just there like, what am I doing? The things I remember from it were the ring, because you got all the crowd there, and the ring just, you could hardly even see it. So you're just like, But where they put the court, it was on the ice rink, so the Sullivan Arena, which they used at the time, and they just built the court on top of the ice rink, so it was freezing.
Do you really feel the cold?
Oh, I did that, yeah. So you can feel it. You know when you're trying to get warm, but then when you've sat through all the game and then you've got the TV timeouts, it's just a long game. And then it's like, right, go on the court. I was like, oh, okay.
That was old
Here
school,
we
wasn't
go.
it? They used to do that on a few NBA courts, didn't they? Where they'd have the NBA court above the ice.
Yeah.
But you feel the cold coming through it. It wasn't
But that
nice.
must be
Listen, no badminton lines.
No, that was nice.
I will take the cold from that.
that must be a pinch me moment where
It
you're
really
like,
was, yeah.
you've just left the UK and you're sat on the bench just like looking around going,
Yeah.
what has just happened?
Yeah.
Like in a
Thinking,
space
I'm
of
here.
a couple of weeks, you're like,
Yep.
yeah, I'm on TV. There we go.
So that was it, and I knew
that's cool.
it was a big step up. So going from playing in the UK, where we were playing, I think, well, I say we felt like we were playing every day, but when you get out there, it was 2 hours practice every day. That doesn't include like your weight training, extra conditioning, all this stuff. So quite quickly, I realised I had a lot of work to do, and just my body just wasn't used to just playing basketball 2 hours every day at the level we were playing at. I think we got to a point where my legs just gave up. I had to take like a few days off. Just my legs just wouldn't work. But after that, it seemed I'd adapted, because as soon as I felt better, I just felt like I could run faster, I could jump higher. It was just odd, and then you just get conditioned for it. And it's when you see a lot of athletes, not just basketball, if you do it every single day, it's just a repetition of those skills and the drills, running up and down the court. That's what makes people better at it. But my only exposure before was that you're watching like college games on TV, and then actually going out there and living it, you realize they're just guys and girls like us who just go to school in the day and just do a bit of basketball through the week, and then they play a game. But being exposed to that makes you realize actually it's like they are actually just normal, like people going to school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really odd. But I mean, that step up, watching all these teams on TV, and then like I said, a month later I'm there, and we've got I think the first year I was there we had Duke, Purdue, Villanova, Seton Hall, all these teams. Wyoming, I remember Wyoming had I don't know his name, but a Nigerian guy who was just one of the biggest guys I've ever seen. His arms were like thicker than my torso. Oklahoma State had I think he was a 7'1" South African guy. I was just chatting to him more about cricket and rugby, but he said he came out to the States, had a choice between football or basketball, and he said, well, I thought I'd give basketball a go. And I was like, and now you're at Oklahoma State. He wasn't very good. He was just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an experience.
I guess this would be around the Shaq championship days,
So
wouldn't it?
yeah, so how do I remember it? My second year there was LeBron James's like final year in high school. So when he had this high school game televised, and had like Allen Iverson and that going to watch it before he went out to before he joined the NBA. So it was then. So I'm there 2002 to 2004 when I was out there.
2003 was his first year.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember watching him. So I remember watching him play high school, and now he's still playing NBA, which is crazy when you think back.
Yeah, I mean longevity is the word I use. Is just
it's
out.
ridiculous.
It's just in another stratosphere compared to everyone else. But I mean, I read a lot about how much he looks after his body and stuff. He puts a lot of money into his body, and when you go around and you see the healthcare that is associated with the players. I mean, we got an episode coming up where I was going around and you're seeing all the healthcare. I mean, I don't want to put too many spoilers in there and stuff like that, but when you see like all the ice stuff they can do, iron lungs that they'll put themselves in,
like the
all
oxygen
that stuff.
chambers and stuff.
Yeah, so they'll be going, right, we're going to Denver.
Yeah.
We need to acclimatize to all that. You know, like millimeters of or like grams of you need to put this into your body, and you see all the players' stuff, and you know, one might be this high, one might be a couple of grams more, but that player needs those couple more grams because of what's going on in his body at the time. And you look at the detail they go in.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you now got LeBron, so you kind of look at it and go, he's probably the driving force of a lot of that.
Yep.
Whereas I looked at him and went, Jägermeister, go. So yeah, kind of probably went the wrong route.
But there is that side of it. Let's face it, there is that side of it going to college in America. I mean, the only thing, you lived it, we see it in films and stuff like that, but where you have you play basketball, you go to college, then you have the big party after the game and stuff like that. Is it like that?
It really is, yeah. Like it was around the time of like American Pie and stuff as well. So what was that, 99? So after that, and you're thinking, that's not real life. Got out there and I'm like, it is real life. So it's like we're having keg parties. It's like you just go to the liquor store, get a keg. But I was only 20 when I got out there. So going from UK where you're out partying from like 18 years old, got out there and it's like, you're not allowed out to drink. And my friend who I moved out there with, we were obviously drinking buddies, going to the pub a lot. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Why can't I come out and play? So it was like a year of not really being able to drink and party, go to parties like you used to. I mean, used to find ways. But then my second year I turned 21 and then it all kind of changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had, I think we hosted quite a lot of parties as well.
Oh, so you made up for it then?
Yeah, definitely made up for it. But yeah, I can remember we used to run out of cake. People used to come round and it's like always just you never used to charge people to come to the parties, but you'd put a little cup put tips in. And then people would always, if you run out of beer, there'd be enough money to go and get another keg or more liquor, more whatever else you needed. But it was always good. And one of our friends who used to play as well, used to be a bouncer at one of the clubs. So he was always happy because he'd come round, we'd feed him with beer and he'd just stand outside and make sure no one underage was coming in. So we're all covered. Or if the police turned up, he was like, yeah, the police turned up, I turned them away because they knew him as well. So it was quite fortunate.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, we used to go and find the parties as well. So it was always good.
Well, you just touched on it a little bit, and I just want to ask that question. You actually went out there with someone who you were friends with here.
Yes.
So that must have helped with that transition. Like, I always think, like, if you're in a band, you got your guys around you, they all going through the same emotions, they feel what you're doing. But when you got someone like Elvis or Prince, he's the only person who knows what it feels like to be that person. So at least when, I don't know if I explained that right, but you got your mate with you who is going through all that as well.
So he definitely helped. And it was great. His family, so I'd met them in the summer. And then they were happy. They'd let me live there. Like, they'd only just met me through this summer. They were like, yeah, come back out, stay with us. And they were really, really welcoming. And then it kind of, I don't know, it went a bit odd. After Christmas, it kind of went downhill a little bit. As they said, he even said to me, he said, oh, you've overstayed your welcome. But there were times where, it sounds like a sob story now, I think I went 4 days once where I'd only eaten like a Nature Valley bar because I maxed my credit card out. Wasn't really telling my parents I didn't have any money. I can remember one day buying a Subway and that had to last me like 2 days, which sounds crazy and a bit like a sob story, but I got to a point where I was waking up, getting the earliest bus from their house, and then getting the latest bus back. So bear in mind, when Alaska, I was up at like 6 o'clock, stood out by the bus stop in like -10, just to get out of their feet, really. I think I went for a stage as well where I was ill for felt like 2 months. I had strep throat, and every night I was just coughing and coughing and coughing. I didn't know how the medical system really worked out there. But I remember not seeing them for the whole time because I was just kind of ill in the bedroom. And it sounds bad, like no one really came to check on me. I thought just at the time I must have been annoying because I was just constantly coughing. So there were things like that were hard, where I'm thousands of miles away from home. He kind of had his life to live as well, and we did kind of grow, I say, a bit more separate, as I found my friends in the basketball team, but then went home for the summer. Then the second year moved in with, I said, one of my teammates and another friend of ours, and then I turned kind of 21. I think I turned 21 at the end of the first year, but then life was just a bit easier. Like my mum and dad. My dad was paying my tuition fees, and then my mum was just helping fund, and I got a job just doing like intramural refereeing. So like football games, volleyball games, basketball games. I was just refereeing, but that was bringing in money.
Who paid off the credit card that you maxed
So I eventually had to pay it off. So it took till, well, I think just before I joined the Air Force, managed to pay it off. So I was paying off the debts for a while.
I think that's like what most young people do. You know, they go through, this is great, and then it's like, oh yeah, I have to pay this back.
Yeah, I've got to pay it all back. And then it's that realization of, oh, right. So even kind of said when I started playing after college, I was just paying off the debts that I kind of accrued, even from Chelmsford. I only did 1 year at Chelmsford, and the student loans for that, and even the debts from there, you're still paying that for ages. So that's why it was always nice, and that's why I couldn't really afford, because I was an international student, it cost more to have me out there. Doing the maths, it wasn't really fair on my dad to do it all. So I'm fortunate to leave without a degree, which I would have liked to do, but because I only had 2 years, never really finished my degree when I was there, which was a shame, but played some good basketball and had some good fun, but would have liked a degree.
That's the only challenge. I'm not only going to say this and I'll move on. It's just like education is expensive, especially when you're going abroad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know Mark's considered as well doing a PhD as well. So I'm going to embarrass him now, but Mark's about to finish his 3rd master's degree here.
Master, that's impressive.
So
there's me with none, but.
But so Mark's considered doing a PhD.
I just like learning. That's it. That's all it is.
Well, you have got like degrees in engineering and now psychology coming up and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. But
I'm just less stupid than I look. That's all it is.
Yeah,
but we're marginal.
Okay.
But we've considered PhDs, but when you look at the cost, and I genuinely think we could get a PhD. That isn't in question.
Yep.
When you look and go, it's £450 to £500 per month for 6 years, you go, oh right.
Yeah, just for.
Is it like
post-nominals after your name
and if it's for you, or for a career or a direction, amazing. Or if it's something that you can do alongside that, amazing.
Yeah.
So I've got one that would genuinely change basketball, would contribute towards basketball and the sport. However, am I going to pay 30 grand for that? Probably not. So yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? And that's why you get a lot of Americans. I had a good friend of mine who he was in the American Air Force, living out in Holland. But even he was saying it's you're trying to get your kids to a good standard so they can get a scholarship, because education is expensive. But there's so many colleges, there's so many people trying to get those scholarships to go and play sport. And then even some of my teammates, they finished the 4 years and have never played basketball since. No. So it's crazy, and a lot of them do it to pay their way through college. So, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I'm trying to do something at the moment, going through listed NBA players from like all time and going back through. You have to sort of look at some of the college teams, so it's taken a bit longer than I was hoping, but just seeing the amount of people you go, well, they won championships, and how many people actually go even from those championship teams, not just to the NBA, but to any level of professional, you go, oh, like half of them just, that's it. They just drop off, done.
Yeah. So that's what
we won a championship, amazing. Are you going to play professionally? No, I'm doing this because I want to be an engineer. Off I go.
Yeah.
You go,
You know what?
Great. I mean, that's cool. But you go, oh, you're actually like top 4 or 5 in the country. Like, you are really good. And they're like, yeah, but I want to go do this. Good for
Don't
you.
want to do it anymore, do they?
No.
You get to points. I think I went, I'm playing for like 9 months, and I got to the end of the season. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And then you go, I went
So
back
why
home.
is that? It's just like
Just drains you. I think
Yeah.
it was just every day. Like it's, yeah. I don't know. It was an odd feeling because I'd never felt it. I'd love basketball, so I just want to play basketball every day. But then it was just, I think it was just a lot of everything combined. And it was like, I think it was a situation I was in as well, being miles from home. And it's just, I've got to go and do basketball again. I've got to go and do basketball again. And there was just no rest from it. But then went home for the summer for a couple of months. And I was like, I've got it all back again. So I was like, great, I can't wait to get out and play
it's
again.
almost like you need that little break.
It just need a little break from it.
Get any injuries.
You know what?
during
Sorry, Mark. Can I just focus? There's this real interesting moment there where Stu was saying that when he's in the UK, all I want to do is play basketball. All I want to do play, and he gets it, and it's like, I just want to go back home.
It was odd, yeah. I don't think it wasn't just the basketball. I suppose hindsight's a wonderful thing, or if you could change stuff. And if I'd have been on a scholarship or had all the money, so money wasn't an issue, life might have been a bit different and I might have enjoyed it a bit more. But it was just being in this new place. I went really insular as well. I think quite shy when I was there because every time I talked, people were staring at me. Being tall as well, it was just like everyone's just looking at me and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to talk to people. But then I realised it's because I'm different. It's because I had a British accent. It's because I played basketball and they weren't there to like make fun of me or because in England I got it a lot being tall. But out there they're just curious and just like, oh, where are you from? And then you start talking and then you realise actually they're not there to put me down or to be horrible. They just want to know you more. So I started to be a bit more confident in what I was doing. And then it all kind of changed a bit. So yeah, it was a weird feeling to I'm not say fall out of love with basketball, but just need a break from it, like you said. And then once I had that break, I'd gone back. I think I'd gone back to Germany at the time. I was working out an army base in Germany, and then just got that love back again and couldn't wait to get back out there. And that's probably just from talking to some of the people out there, just going, oh, what have you been doing? Seeing how they were like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And realised actually it is amazing and I'm quite privileged to do it. So
Yeah, I think when you look back, you like, especially like even just our reactions, it's like that sounds amazing.
yeah.
You did show me once. You got the video or you got a picture of your first
Yeah, so I got
NCAA game?
Yeah, so it was just crazy. And I can remember the coach at the end was like, we'll run a play to try and get you on the scoreboard. And I was just like, okay, I'm just happy to be here. And I think the pictures from me going there, what you don't see the next one is one of the guys they had like 7 foot reach. I can't remember the names, but he stole the ball. So as I turned, he'd stripped the ball from me. So I never got my 2 points
Okay.
in my first game. But yeah, they run I do remember now, they run a play specifically for me to try and score. That was it. But yeah.
So Germany then. So we're on to Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach.
There you go, Mark.
That's a good place.
Mönchengladbach.
Good nights out in
here you go.
Mönchengladbach.
I don't know. Guessing that's it. Mönchengladbach.
I am so holding back.
Go on, do it.
No, I'm really holding back.
You're trying. Go on, do it. Just do it. Get it out your system now. Get it out your system.
Mönchengladbach.
You can just see it. You can
That
just
was
see it percolating under there.
Oh,
Building up,
dear.
wasn't it?
He wanted to do that.
Oh dear, there's a video where someone's like, I think it just says the UK and it says ambulance and the guy goes,
It's called a map pool.
ambulance, and it goes to the French, it's like ambulance. Is that what it would be? In Italian, ambulanziano or whatever that is. And it gets to the German one, it's like Bundesschlagen.
They're so aggressive with their language, aren't they? Even like the word I love you is ich liebe dich.
Yeah.
Jeez. So yeah.
It's
great
what?
language,
Say
that.
that again.
Ich liebe dich.
Ich liebe dich.
Yeah.
Ich liebe dich.
Oh, thanks, Gertrude. You say that such a
Gertrude,
nice
So
way.
Gertie.
My 9-year-old son decided one day he'd download Duolingo and just teach himself German. And he now knows more German than me. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
How he's done it. He's just gone, yep, I know all this, Daddy. He's like, what does this mean? I was like, no idea. I can order a beer and a kebab and maybe
all
a
you
taxi
need.
if I'm all right. Yeah.
When he's drunk, he can get to the Bahnhof, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So hang on, right? We've done a massive jump there. So
Yeah.
you've left the seawalls.
Yep.
So it's all built up. It's too much.
No,
So
that was a...
Why Germany?
So
like,
Germany
did you go
was-
back to the UK and then Germany, or like you're going straight to Germany?
No, so my mum was living out in Germany. So where it was, it's a place called JHQ, Joint Headquarters. It was a big joint army base or allied military base. And then there's little army bases around there as well. So it used to be called RAF Bruggen, but then it turned into an army base called Javelin Barracks. So she was living there, then she met her now ex-husband. So when I went back, I was like, well, I'm going to go out and live in Germany. So she was a manager at the swimming pool, and then my summer job was lifeguarding. So I was like, right, well, in the summer I'll come back and just live there, do some lifeguarding. And I was just playing basketball as well. And then one of the army guys, just he was playing for a local, or because I'll come along to play with this local team. So I was like, okay. Went along to Mönchengladbach Flyers and ended up playing with them for a bit, which was good fun. They had an ex-NBA player, again, I can't remember his name, but he was taller than me.
This is a supersonic.
Yeah, he used to play for Seattle. He was in his 40s at the time.
Mark, as a Seattle Supersonic fan,
The only
Who is
guy
this
who's
player?
coming to mind is Detlef Schrempf.
if
That's
you
only
don't
guy
know
I'm
the
thinking of.
answer,
No,
you're
he
a
was
disgrace.
he was an American
He's
guy.
American. You're a disgrace. You
can't
call
remember his
yourself
name,
a
but-
Oh,
Seattle
an American
fan.
guy.
Yeah, he was an American guy living
Oh,
out
sorry.
there.
I was thinking
Oh,
he said
do you
he was
know-
Yeah,
German.
no, sorry. So we're in Germany, but he was American.
So
Oh.
who is it, Mark? You're a disgrace.
So Mönchengladbach weren't one of the
It could be
top teams.
anyone.
Had the teams. Actually, one of my teammates from Alaska ended up moving or playing for a team in Dusseldorf,
Oh, really?
which was just down the road from me. And
Nice zoo in Dusseldorf.
he was kind of getting there and started playing just as I was moving off to Cyprus. But yeah, Mönchengladbach, we weren't one of the top teams. But it was some of the best basketball I was playing, I think. 'cause
I
it was
mean, the
just,
standard in Germany has always been decent,
yeah, it was good.
and with the actual national league set up in Germany,
Basketball Bundesliga.
I mean, it's a model that people are copying because it's so good.
Yep. So we had one of my my good friend who had the good basketball ring, the swimming pool and the hot tub. He ended up going to play in Koblenz out in Germany. So I had two friends from Norfolk who ended up moving out there and playing for a team out in Koblenz, which is weird actually because Pete, one of my best friends, actually. So we went to school together and then played basketball together in Thetford. There was a time when he went to work on cruise ships and his cruise ship came into Alaska. This is a time before we had social media and everything. So it was like, check my emails. I was on Hotmail. I was like, right, let's see what he's doing. And he said, oh, our cruise ship's coming into Seward this date. And I was like, Christ, I can make that. So I was like quickly emailing him back. It sounds like a blooming rom-com here. But then I was like, right, hopefully he'll know I'm coming. One of my other friends owned a limo randomly. So we kind of filled the limo full of beer and all the other stuff. And we did this 3-hour drive from Anchorage to Seward to meet this cruise ship. So they had other friends who were in Seward as well and coming off the cruise ship apparently. So I just remember pitching up, stood by the cruise ship waiting for everyone to come off. And then he walks off and he was just like you see in stupid romance where he's like, you're here. So we had a long night drinking, partying in Seward. Then, because I had to be back for training the next day, I had to drive. So had no sleep. Drove this limousine back through the mountains of Alaska back to Anchorage. Got back at stupid o'clock. Tried to get 10 minutes sleep before I had to go to practice. So basically didn't have any sleep before this practice. Needs to say the practice didn't go as well. I tried to sit on the sidelines and drink as much Kool-Aid as I can, or I could.
Coach would know that.
Yeah.
Coach going to pounce on that.
They probably know. But then, so then he moved out to Koblenz. And again, it's like we're traveling around the world and basketball, it seems to always be there. But I think for some of his practices, you'd finish practice. We went along once to one of his practices And afterwards, some guy just comes in with like a crate of beer and like schnitzels. And we're like,
What's a
he's like, they're free.
schnitzel?
So it's like pork, bread
Sausage.
pork with breadcrumbs. They kind of flatten the pork. Think of like pork steak, like thin pork steak, with breadcrumbs on it. So like a chicken Kiev without the garlic and the chicken.
Okay.
With pork. Really nice. So yeah, you'd get a beer and a bit of meat after a game. And they're like, it's good.
Guten
everything.
Tag, Fraulein.
It's muted himself
What is
there.
it? What is it about the German language that
It's
just-
brilliant. Germany is one of the best places. I mean, we lived on the German-Dutch border. So go one way, you're in Holland. Go the other way, you're on the Autobahn into Mönchengladbach and stuff. But some of the best nights I've had in my younger years are in Germany and Mönchengladbach. And I won't go into the stories here, but for those who've ever been to Mönchengladbach, they know the hill. And it's just bars, Chinese, and then the bottom of the hill. If you fancy that sort of thing, there's a little red light above a door. But
I tell you, Mark, I don't think I've ever told anyone this, and I'm about to share it. This is embarrassing.
Well, if it's segueing from a red light above a door,
No.
we all need to hear this.
This is funny and out of order. So I dated a German girl at one point, and she was okay, but it just wasn't I just thought, no, just weren't getting along. No, we were getting along. Anyway, it wasn't for me, and I didn't know how to let her down. So I told her, I went, I'm really sorry, I can't see you anymore. And she was like, why? And I was like, I need to leave the country. She's like, what for? I went, I can't tell you. And I basically made out I was some British spy, and I had to go.
oh, she would have seen right through that.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's awful.
And she was like, I just wish you luck with whatever your mission is. So I was like, all right, cheers. Just didn't go out for a few months.
Wow.
Oh, that was funny. Oh dear. Don't think I've ever shared that with anyone.
No,
Oh, that's funny, isn't it?
no, that's yeah.
That poor girl.
I was a spy. Anyway, so Germany, yeah.
Someone out there is going,
Yeah.
I knew it.
I knew it.
Listen to this.
You weren't that James Bond. It was like, can't tell you. You would have loved it. Anyway, you were like that in those days. Right.
Never,
Yeah, you were.
never knowingly.
You probably used a spy excuse loads of times.
I worked for 6 months in Munich, which was amazing.
Nice.
And we were over there for Oktoberfest during that part of it. And because the client I was working for was Siemens.
Yeah.
And the guy who I was project lead for said, oh, let's go to, we'll go for some meals out. And they had like this, they had like loads of like bars and things all in like one little row and like it's a procession. So you just make your way. And it's like a Brazilian bar, Portuguese. It was lovely. And then at the end of it, it was like a strip club. It was just random because it was just all at pink. And you just like in normal bars and restaurants and people just wandering around.
Yeah.
But it started snowing. So we came out of the restaurant and the snow was super deep. And it's like, what's going on? And then a load of them were like, we're off to the strip club. It's like, yeah, I'm not interested in that.
Ooh.
And then the guy went, oh, we'll get on the bus. I was like, okay, that doesn't really sound that glamorous. No, it was a party bus. And it was just like one of these, the long bendy buses.
Bendy buses.
Yeah, just with a full-on disco on it.
Brilliant.
I don't know what was going on. And then we ended up in the middle of nowhere at this giant rave. Like a proper, like,
nice.
like strobes and everything. It's like, I mean, I'm here on business, but this is pretty. And then like the outdoor, you still got the outdoor. Everyone's lining up for a kebab, but it's not kebab. It'll be schnitzels or like big
shawarmas, don't you?
big curly sausages and everything,
bratwurst.
bratwurst and stuff, and everyone's sat there and you're like, there's no kebabs or cheesy chips on the floor or anything.
Chinese restaurants or that.
Exactly.
Great.
It's all the same thing. Everyone's just absolutely thought, this is the weirdest thing. And then our flight left at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And we all got off in Munich. One stop before the airport on the train is BMW, in the BMW factory. So everyone piled off the train. You could see them all looking and like, English knobs, because we're all just
Snowflake
drunk
morning.
and literally. And then it was like, no, this is a factory. No, the airport's there. Get back on the train before it, because that train was not stopping. It was going. So you had to get back on there again. Oh yeah. Yeah, I have some good memories of that.
Good.
That was
Germany's
good.
just good. There's
Yeah,
just
nice.
a good way of life out there.
But
I've just thought of saying else, Mark.
what?
I've just, and no one knows this other than you and I,
That you were in fact a spy.
that we we were in
Codename
we were in
Seawolf.
Berlin once. Remember, we were in Berlin once, and how old were we? 15.
15.
We were 15 in Berlin, and we had gone to some beach.
Mhm.
We'd gone to some beach, and we met these girls there.
In Berlin.
We were staying in Berlin,
So
but we
they-
drove
they
up, drove
Oh,
up to a
okay.
beach somewhere.
It was like an inland lake,
Okay.
but the inland lake
That
had
makes sense.
the
Oh,
Falls
was that
beach.
a
Yeah,
lake?
yeah.
Yeah, it was a lake.
Oh, I
it was
thought
in,
we were-
Yeah,
no,
you're,
no.
quite,
It's
you're quite inland in Berlin if you know your
Right,
geography.
I thought we were at a beach.
Worst spy if you
You
don't
didn't
know.
really, did you?
Yeah, I did. Just got, it
Brilliant.
was sandy, Mark. It was sandy. And we were on that bus for a long time.
You honestly thought we were at the
If you,
sea?
if you look at a map of Berlin, you'll soon realise
I was
it couldn't have been the
15.
sea.
Just got out and just went, oh, we're at the beach. This is brilliant.
Brilliant.
It was sand. It was a full thing on the lake.
We went swimming and we came out.
Yeah, but they had the nudist side.
And we came out on
there.
the nudist beach.
We didn't know.
And they was like, like
He's rolling into that language, isn't he?
Yeah.
anyway.
Probably just insulted someone.
So
It's like my donkey said, "What?"
we met these girls, and I think you gave them
No, they stole my hat. One stole my hat.
when they stole some basketball hat,
yeah.
and he was like, yeah, we'll come and get it off you tomorrow. So there was us walking around the next day. Because
We
it was
walked
part of a
across Berlin.
school treat, and
Yeah.
they went, right, you can do whatever you want for 2 hours. So we literally, well, no, maybe even longer
It was
than that.
in the afternoon. It was like, well, you've got some free time now. So we were like, okay. So
So
we thought we'll walk there to go
Yeah.
get it.
It's crazy. We didn't know where we were going. We just went,
And
it must
it was
be that
literally
way.
straight across Berlin. And we
Yeah.
didn't even think about it at the time. Went all the way across there, got there. And then on the way back, we were walking back. It's like,
It's getting dark.
oh, no, it was dark.
And
it
it's
was
like,
and you're walking along and Paul goes,
there's
there's loads of skinheads over there. I'm like,
there's the Nazis.
Yeah.
There's the prostitutes.
but
We're really seeing it,
to
Mark.
context it,
We-
it was it the love parade, was it?
that was on, the
Was
love
like-
parade.
So that had
Yeah.
happened like almost a day after we'd got there.
Yeah.
And we're 15-year-olds and like going out, everyone's like, oh, you go down to the parade. And like the teachers obviously let us, for whatever
It was
reason. We're
like-
down
we-
there. It's like
Like,
someone's
what?
walking around flapping their boobs out over there. It's like, and
Everyone was, Mark.
and then
from what I remember.
it was just like, what is going on? This is
are
a
we?
city. Like, what sort of trip have we come on? And then like 2 days later, we went to one of the concentration camps. You go, oh yeah, this was the trip.
Completely
it was awful.
different.
Yeah, horrible. And then, but yeah, on that beach, we just walked off on our own. Think about it now, it's like that's the most naive thing
It's
I've probably ever done.
crazy.
Just
If
walking
I knew
randomly.
my kids were about to walk
Through Berlin.
hours and hours and hours through Berlin I'd be...
Oh yeah, so we didn't get back. I mean, this is like 9, 10 at night at least. That we're then walking
Oh, wow.
back like.
I remember one of our teachers was outside the building, panicking. He was just standing there, just waiting, and he had absolute panic on his face.
We just said, oh, we just walked there and we just got lost, and then they're like, oh, get it in and stuff, but they didn't get told. We
he
didn't
was,
get told
he
off
was
or
pretty
anything.
cool about it. They
Yeah, we just genuinely got lost, and we did. But yeah, just think about it now.
When you look back at some of the things you do as kids or young, you're like, how did we even survive? How are we here
Yeah.
today?
Even things like without the mobile phone. Yeah, I'll meet you down the beach, and we just met down the beach. We didn't.
You'd struggle with that though, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Meet you at the beach. Where are you? Don't know. I can see another country.
but you didn't have mobiles to any of that.
No.
I'll just see you down. I'll see.
Oh,
Where you
so-
going? Downtown. Yeah, I'll see you downtown.
Such
Done.
a better time.
Yeah, much better. But I mean, that's important, really, because when you're framing that, when you said when you're in Alaska,
Yeah.
that was still the area you're going in. You know,
Yeah.
2003, 2002, 2001. People had mobiles, but I guess there's more people have mobiles in America than they did maybe.
Yeah,
in
not
the
many
UK.
people had them really. It was
Still,
No, Mark, we're not even in. We're talking 95 when we did that. There's no mobiles then.
oh yeah, no. When we did that, that's what. But what I'm saying is, in Alaska, when he was over there and
So what year would that
experiencing
be?
that,
2000, you said.
2002 to 2004.
so people had mobiles.
Started to get mobiles.
Yeah, so it was kind of around that time people were starting to do it.
Because they were there,
This
but it
is
was
how
just
your credit card bill got high in it. You got a mobile and then went over there,
No.
and the data was
No,
like,
I don't know. I didn't have a mobile. I was out there. I'm trying to think if I did.
because it's one of those guys. The reason I'm thinking it is because in the States it's quite expensive having a mobile out there, as opposed to what it was actually over here. All things randomly considered, but a lot. I know some people who still like mid 2000s didn't have a mobile out there because you had to buy cell coverage, and if you're going across states,
That
it was quite expensive.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And it would get really, basically, unless you were phoning in your little local area, it was really expensive. So when you saw it on the films and people were doing that, I think that's really I want to say the context of it, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
like you said, when you went out with your friends,
it's like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hello?
we're all in that same sort of era of being, I won't say sold the American dream, but it's being sold what America represented specifically for basketball.
Yeah.
And everything that connects to that it was sold that.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that from the 80s and the 90s and all that
Yeah.
era. So then you got a chance to go out there. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And also, they're like, I mean, there were some players who led the way there for that to happen, but still, there's not many British guys who go to the States. I mean, it's higher now, but you just look at the count of how many are over there.
Oh yeah,
Hundreds, maybe now.
Yeah, I don't even know now. I've
It's
not
not
been followed
loads.
as much.
So you would have been one of 20,
Yeah.
maybe.
That was it. I remember.
One of 30.
The only reason I remember is because I'm looking at the program, and again, you just look through the names of who's playing and what are the other teams. I remember Andrew Sullivan was out there at the time. I think he went on to captain the GB team.
Yeah.
Had a great career. And I just remember looking at it, going, "There's somebody else who's English." And I know friends who have gone out to different universities because there's so many out there. It's just crazy. Again, you probably lose track of how many people do go, but I think unless you do get that full scholarship, and I don't want to say colleges out there are reluctant to take international students, but it does cost them a lot more money. So my tuition fees were higher because I was international. So when they think, well, I could get somebody for cheaper or could give less money to someone who's already here. But again, I think I was just fortunate, and it's one of those where you just you shoot your shot. I went out there. I think I was lucky to get a walk-on spot, and then to end up staying for 2 years. And as I said, I just want to get out there and just learn more with the intentions of coming back to Europe and playing after that. As again, at the time, all I wanted to do was play basketball. I mean, I studied architecture at Chelmsford, but I was like, do I want to do this? I was like, no, I just want to play sport. And
that's a long degree as well. Architecture is
Yeah.
five years, I think.
yeah,
isn't it,
it's,
usually?
yeah,
5
it
or
was
6.
long.
Some of that
I
is
mean,
a long one.
I did the first year of it, and I transferred when I went out to Alaska. I did a business management major, just because that's what the university was. It was a business school. Plus, I figured the amount of time I was sat in my room drawing when I was at Chelmsford, I was like, well, I want to be doing basketball more, so I don't want to be drawing as much. So did the business management major. As I said, I only managed 2 years of it, and then moved back. So
Do you think your childhood of moving helped you in that mentality of going out there? Because when we've spoken to a couple of people who've said going out there before, that's a big culture shock of just being that far away from family and being away from lots of things that you know in particular. I'm thinking of like Steve and Mark in particular, who were centered in one place.
yeah,
Mark Jackson, Steve Davison.
Exactly. And when they went, they were very much like, I've only known this my life. And now I've gone somewhere. Whereas obviously you said you had that experience from your father and your
yeah. So we moved. I think we're talking with my daughter now. My daughter's done 5 primary schools. She's now in a 6th school,
wow.
so moving as well. And this is where we're trying to get stability as a family. But I think as a kid, I had 5 primary schools as well. And then we were moving up until middle school. I can't remember. We'd moved back from Germany. So I was born out in Germany, and then we'd moved around. And then moved from Germany to Thetford. And then luckily my dad managed to stay there through the rest of his career, so we could get all through middle school, then all through high school, did my 6th form. But yes, it's probably the easiest answer to that. Just moving around a lot. It's quite independent. Just having the family still going off and doing their own things. And I built that kind of resilience and mentality of, okay, I can do this. And I still remember going, when I went to Alaska, I can remember I was at home on my own, just kind of packed my bags, got the taxi. Taxi took me to the bus stop, bus to the airport. And then I flew out to Alaska to live my next couple of years. So looking back, it's
huge.
It's huge when you think of it. And then I was 20 at the time. Was I 19, 20? And I still look at 19, 20-year-olds now just thinking, good God, I struggle watching you cross the street.
Yeah, it's young, isn't it? You don't think of it at the time.
No, I just had my bags and my mini disc player. And
mini disc player.
Oh, yeah.
They were brilliant.
It was brilliant. That was a good
I've
time.
still got all my mini discs.
Oh, they'll be worth something now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got loads.
VHS and like mini disc, all that kind of stuff. People just want to reach back to that era. So
I love the fact you could drop them. And that sounds silly, but it was like the cassette.
We
player.
went from, I guess the CD flip chart to
I had like a
flip
little
chart
wallet
for the for the mini disc. But what I have got, and I might at some point do this.
You still got the player?
I've got my car mini disc player still.
That's amazing.
So the big.
Yeah.
I've still got that.
How's it go?
I think my first ever car was a Volkswagen Scirocco, and we put the mini disc player in that.
What?
6x9s from Halfords.
Nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
the
great.
old cheese wedge.
Actually,
Love
yeah,
it.
you know what?
Love it.
It's you put the mini disc in and the screen flicks up and then it like plays a graphic as you're driving.
Little remote control as well, even though it's right there. You still need a remote. Why not?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Oh, what, one on the stalk? Or was it one of the stalks that you stuck on the side of the thing?
No, actual little remote
actual
control.
little remote.
Yeah, but you're there, so my hand, you can literally just do that, can't you? And then, but you still need a remote to look cool.
Well, you say that you can just you could just do that. I was just
Do it with
thinking
my
when you
My
said
knees
you're a
are up
lifeguard,
here
you're the
anyway.
only lifeguard who just doesn't get in the water. You just go
Grab him.
just reach in. He's in.
Much
He's in the
easier.
deep end. It's like that's all right. There we go. That's what you want. Just a tall, really long lived. Like get Wemby. Let's get Wemby as a
Wemby in just to
lifeguard.
save him.
You're
Yeah.
like this.
Pluck everyone out.
As a tall man, you're like this. So we had a guy on the show who. Damn it! Which one is it?
I have no idea what you're trying to share.
I think it was the mascot for the Plymouth Patriots.
Oh yes, it was.
He took a picture of someone with Wemby.
Yeah.
No, it was Craig.
Was it Craig Sorrell?
Yes, I think it was.
No, but I think the mascot took the picture. Is what I mean of him.
Oh yes.
Anyway,
yes.
so he took it. Obviously, Wemby's quite tall, but he took it of the guy and cut Wemby's head off.
Brilliant.
I went, there you go. What a legend. What's the basketball in Germany like? What's that transition basketball from college in America?
Especially
to
the game, because you just said
Germany.
you said about how with the fatiguing
Yeah.
with them.
So it was interesting because
like, does it back?
Obviously-
Is it less over there as well?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think back. It was odd coming back from playing where again I wasn't the greatest on our team. But then when I came back to play in like England and Europe or in Germany, first we were playing just like pickup games with some army guys. Again, good friends of mine. Not really high standard, but still a good standard. And it's just kind of you're that step ahead of everything. It's just like you're quicker, you could jump higher, could run more. And then when I started playing in the leagues, I was almost dominating in some of the games I was playing just because I had that extra, I think, reaction time. Like I said, I was more tuned to doing it a lot more, and I'd been playing a lot more, whereas you could tell they might have been playing once or twice a week, whereas I'd been playing every day. So I could see that I was that little step ahead, and that's why the guy who, the ex-NBA guy who was playing on the team as well, I had some good battles with him because he could see that I was a new challenge coming in, and he I think he said to me at one point, he said, "I've not had that challenge, so this is great." And I had the management saying, "We want you to stay and play because you're our new star," kind of not him, as he was aging.
Mark, have you remembered who this guy is yet?
I don't remember his
You're
name
a disgrace,
again.
It's
Mark.
someone who played in Seattle Sonics who then went on to Forces.
Yeah.
I have to go look that up.
You're
I
out of
think
order,
whatever.
Mark.
But I slowly felt myself coming down. So I kind of got playing college, and in Germany I was playing some great basketball, but then I could feel myself, I'm coming down the slope now, just because I wasn't playing as much. I was enjoying life, so it wasn't all just about basketball, which is easy to say to yourself, yeah, I'm going to keep doing and training. But then from Germany, I had the opportunity to move out to Cyprus.
So why did that came there?
So that came about. My mum was going to move out to Cyprus, so she was getting a house built. So I thought, okay, well, I'll look for a team out there. And then the person, it was all, looking back now, it all sounds dodgy. But at the time, I was like, oh, okay, it sounds like they can get me on a team. And I didn't get an agent. Again, paying off debt, so I thought it's more money I can't really afford. But the opportunity came around. She said, oh yeah, Andreas, I think his name was, knows people, go out there and they'll hook you up with the team. So I was like, okay, flew out to Cyprus, called him when I'm there, and he's like, oh, okay, get a taxi to here. And I was like, okay. So he's got a bar hotel in Ayia Napa. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I've not been to Ayia Napa before. And then basically just said, okay, well, we'll go and meet the team. They train at like 7 o'clock at night. So I think I went to a couple of teams, but it was coming up to the season, so they'd already got their rosters full. And I was at the point, I stayed in a hotel, and I'd gone for, I think, the best team in Cyprus first. They said, oh, we'll try you out with this one. They just said, look, our roster's full. But I can remember doing the training session with them. I'd seen them on TV like 2 nights before and seen the players. I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize you. And all I remember from the session, I'd hit a couple of good shots. One of their big guys tried to dunk on me, but I blocked him, which I thought was good. But they just said, look, we want you to play, which I think they've been, well, they said, we want you to play, but our roster's full. So I went to another team. They kind of said the same thing. And then I went to a third team, which was Ike in Larnaca. And then, yeah, so I ended up playing with them for a bit. But then kind of near the end of the season, I was a bit like, do you know what? I'd had that kind of, one of the guys on the team, he was 36, I think, American guy. He went to Fresno State. I was seeing him doing his basketball coaching stuff. And I was like, oh, what you doing? And then he just told me the story. He said, oh, well, I'm 36. I've been playing basketball and I've kind of got nothing now to fall back on. So I'm going to do my coaching so I can go into coaching. But just his story was kind of like he just hadn't prepared for leaving basketball. And as we were talking about earlier, you see that a lot. It's people just, they do basketball and it's like, I'm going to go to something different. But some people just go, I've got basketball. It can be any sport like American football. And they go, but now I've got nothing. And I kind of had that. I was 24 at the time, and I went, do you know what? I need to, or 23 or 24. I said, I need to think about this seriously.
The sensible gears kicked in.
It did, yeah.
What am I doing in 10
I kind of
years'
thought,
time?
I need to get a real job here, or I'm going to get to a certain age. I could get an injury, and it's a stress. And I can remember waking up one day going, I don't want to go to practice today. And I thought, ooh, I've not ever said that to myself. But I was at a place called I Nikolaos, which is, I think it's RAF base, but it's like a signal unit. And a friend of mine who was a medic in the RAF, I was kind of staying there. And I just kind of went, do you know what? If I join the RAF, I can still play basketball, I can do all these things, but I'll have a job and a career and an income that I can fall back on. So I still get to do what I want whilst doing a job that is going to be good. So I joined as a physical training instructor, so basically like a gym instructor. So I just got to do circuits, run around and live in the gym all day. Mentality behind that was, well, if I'm in a gym, there's a basketball court in the gym, so if I'm not working, I can just go and shoot around and play games. So yeah, which led on to the next chapter of my life.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. That is the end of this part, but do not worry, because coming soon is the second part of this episode, and it will be available soon.